Hey there guys, welcome back to another video. Now first things first guys, as always, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button down there to stay notified on more videos on a weekly basis. And anyways guys, today, first of all, if you clicked on this video, it's most likely because you have little to no experience on what a credit card might actually do. Now, the basics of how a credit card works is really simple, but it seems to be really complicated topic out here. Now, obviously, first things first, you simply go to a bank, the nearest bank you can, or that you might prefer, or any other store that provides credit cards. Simply go apply for one, and once upon approval, now you have a credit card. Now we can buy those new Jordans that we've been wanting, huh guys? Huh? No. Wrong, okay? And this is probably one of the first mistakes people make when it comes to credit cards is they assume because they have a new credit card, which means they have extra money, that we can go and spend that extra money, which essentially we don't even have, guys, okay? Now, tell me this, why would you want to go spend money that's not even yours? Because while you can buy whatever you want with those credit cards, you're gonna have to pay it back eventually, guys, okay? Nothing in life is free. And those credit card, people out there, they'll make sure you pay them back, okay? So that's the first mistake. Don't be doing that at all. You should also never simply get a credit card just because you think you can spend more. Never should you get a credit card just for that assumption. Remember, the main thing you want to simply use a credit card for is simply to start building up your credit, That way down the road, when you apply for loans and all these type of things, you'll get the best, percentage of interest, best rates and everything for a car or a house. So this is why you want a credit card, okay? Not to go be spending money you don't have, okay? And it's important that you know this, okay? Also, if you end up overspending this, you might end up getting yourself into debt that you might never dig yourself out of, okay? And trust me, I've been through this. I've been to a point where I overmaxed my card, and I had to start, cutting down on things I was wasting on and just cutting it down, man. I mean, it was a little hardish, but it finally got there, and at least I learned from my mistake, and I'm hoping you guys don't need to learn from my mistakes on your own, okay? So I'm here to tell you guys right now, just spend it on, necessities you use on a monthly basis, You can use it for your bills, groceries, gas, whatever, spending on little things like that. And just make sure you're keeping track of what you're spending on, that way you're able to repay it back by the end of the month with no problem. Simple as that. And on top of that, you also don't have to pay a cent in interest. If anything, I hear some people say, this myth that you have to pay some interest in order to start getting your credit up, which is absolutely false, guys, okay? You do not have to pay 1 cent of interest in order for your credit to start being better or anything. As long as you're constantly paying that credit card back every month, you're perfectly good, okay? So ignore that myth. Don't pay 1 cent of interest, okay, guys? Don't do that. Now, if you're paying all your bills and everything with this credit card back, and you're doing it right, after like 6 months of using this credit card, it will start showing some type of, credit for you, because when you first start, you have basically nothing. You have no certain number or hit target or anything. So after around 6 consecutive months of using this, it'll start showing up, on the credit card bureaus, and you'll have some sort of credit. Now, obviously, it's not going to be that high in the beginning, but you just keep constantly doing this, and it'll start slowly rising and rising. It's as simple as that, guys, okay? It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. I don't know what people are telling you out there, but it's just very simple. Now, while this may sound very fascinating and simple to use, the very dark truth is that most Americans simply don't follow this strategy, They just, if anything, it's the opposite of how they should be doing it. In fact, did you know that the average American has a credit card debt of at least $6,375 alone? And that is up 3% from the previous year, actually. And according to a separate report by the Federal Reserve, in the whole entire country, the debt has risen up surpassing $1 trillion in 2017. I mean, holy crap, guys. $1 trillion. God, that's a lot of money, you know. I mean, $1 trillion in debt, just let alone $6,735 by one person. I mean, that's a lot of debt. And that's close to 10,000. So I can see why this may discourage some people from staying away from credit cards, because you hear stories like this and it scares you. But again, guys, as long as you're maintaining your credit cards right and paying them off, you have nothing to worry about. But if you have that bad habit of just spending and spending and spending, then this might not work out for you in the end either, okay? So please be careful and control your spending habits. So while a credit card, you know, can sound good and bad at the same time, another thing you need to consider is, if you even miss one payment of it, they'll start hitting you with interest right away, okay? That interest can range from like 20 to 25%, depending how much it is. So let's assume you owed $100 and you miss a payment or whatever, you know, if it's 25%, you're gonna end up owing like an extra $25. I mean, it may not seem like much, you know, oh, it's just $25, but I mean, let's say you owe $1,000, now it's $250. Now let's bump it up a bit. You know, I mean, you owe $10,000, that's $2,500. I mean, you see where I'm going here? And if you're only putting the minimum payment on each statement, your interest is still gonna keep adding up and adding up, and it's just gonna seem like you can never get out of it, guys. Okay? And like I said before, I've been through this. Okay? When I first used my first credit card, it had a limit of, I think, $1,400 to start off with, and I started off okay, you know, and then it rose up to like $2,800. You know, they raised my maximum or whatever. But again, I was young, you know, a little dumb with my spending. So me, you know, I was assuming, okay, I have a job, I'll just pay it all back off eventually. And before you know it, I ended up spending too much. So I ended up passing that $2,800, and they ended up started hitting me with overdraft fees. So I was like, oh man, I've got to control myself, you know. So I started hitting, you know, the payments. I think my minimum payment was like $80. I started putting like $200 every month, you know, trying to cut that credit card down and down and down. And eventually finally, you know, just cut down. And it took over a year for me to do that, because, you know, I just couldn't control myself again. So please, guys, do be careful when you get one of these, okay? Don't assume just because you have one that you have extra money again. And yes, I'm repeating this simply because people simply do not seem to understand the consequences of a credit card. Now, you know, you're hearing all this and you're probably thinking, oh, well, why am I gonna get a credit card if I can build a credit somewhere else? You know, that's not a credit card. It seems pretty bad. And no, guys, I'm not here to scare you from that either, okay? If anything, there's another benefit of having a credit card. You know, you can actually get rewards points and all this through certain credit cards. Take, for example, let's say you shop at, I don't know, Walmart, I don't know, on a constant basis. I mean, if you get a credit card through them and you use it every time at Walmart like you normally would, you start building up these points that you can start buying other things with, you know. So that's another pro of a credit card also. And that's one of the reasons why I love them, honestly, because you can get them for anything, you know. Travel points, you know. I mean, you start building up enough travel points, your credit card's basically paying for your plane tickets and whatever, or your, you know, your hotels you're staying at. And, you know, that starts adding up. Over time, it's basically a free vacation for you, you know, if you think about it. But as long as you're, you know, consecutively paying those payments and stuff, you're going to be building up those points over time, you know. And you're doing it by buying stuff you normally already would. So that's even the better thing, you know. So while it's building up your credit, it's also giving you rewards points. And that's one of the amazing things about credit cards, guys. You know, don't think that just because people are over $1 trillion in debt in the US alone, you know, and counting, that it's a bad thing. No, those people have bad spending habits, okay? And you, as long as you have good spending habits, you're okay, guys, okay? So essentially, it's basically getting free things. I mean, who doesn't like free things? I mean, I know I do. Wouldn't you love free things? So again, guys, to sum it all up in this one video, when it comes down to a credit card, it's just 3 simple steps, really, when it comes down to it. You apply for a card, you use the card, and you pay it off. That's it, guys, okay? It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. But for some reason, it just is, and it just ends up going downhill for everybody. And then, you know, they tell it to others, and they're afraid from it. And it's just a snowball effect from there. But again, guys, as long as you know how to control yourself, and you're able to maintain, you know, your spending habits, keeping track of it, you know, you'll be okay. Just get a notebook or something, write down how much you're wasting, you know, how much you got paid or whatever, and subtract that from that, and just keep track on what you're spending. So by the end of the month, you know what you need to, you know, pay back, and boom, that's it, guys. That's really it. Well, anyways, guys, I hope this video helped clear a little confusion on what a credit card might be or how it works or whatever. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop that like button, you know. Leave me down a comment down below, maybe an experience you've had with the credit card or something else you might add on for a tip up there. And as always, guys, be sure you're hitting that subscribe button for weekly videos. And I guess I'll just see you guys to the next one, really. Anyways, later, guys.